What would you do if a single flag could unravel the peace of an entire neighborhood? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where maple trees lined the streets and neighbors waved from their porches, a storm was brewing. It wasn't the kind that brought thunder or rain, but one fueled by pride, prejudice, and a woman named Karen Whitaker. Her actions would tear at the heart of a community, expose buried secrets, and leave a bitter taste that no one could forget. My mother, Eleanor, was the kind of woman who wore her heart on her sleeve. At 62, she'd lived through enough to know what mattered: love, family, and standing up for what's right. Her porch flag, a vibrant rainbow with the word peace stitched across it, was her quiet rebellion against a world that sometimes felt too cruel. She'd hung it up after my younger brother, Jamie, came out last summer. It was her way of saying, "You're safe here." To most of the neighbors, it was a beacon of warmth. To Karen, it was a personal affront. Karen Whitaker lived 3 houses down, in a pristine colonial with a lawn so manicured it looked like it had been ironed. She was the self-appointed guardian of Willow Creek's standards. No one knew exactly when she decided that Eleanor's flag was a problem, but one humid July morning, I found Mom pacing the living room, her face pale. "They took it down, Sophie," she said, voice trembling. "The flag. It's gone." I was visiting for the weekend, a 28-year-old graphic designer with no patience for small-town drama. But the hurt in Mom's eyes hit me hard. "Who's they?" I asked, already dreading the answer. She handed me a letter from the Homeowners Association, signed by Karen as its president. It cited aesthetic violations and demanded the flag's removal. Worse, someone had ripped it from the porch overnight, leaving the pole bare and Mom's heart bruised. I stormed outside, ready to confront Karen, but Mom grabbed my arm. "Don't, Sophie. She's not worth it." Her voice was soft but firm, the kind of strength that comes from years of holding a family together. I bit my tongue, but I wasn't about to let this go. That flag wasn't just Febris, it was Mom's love for Jamie, her pride in him, and I'd be damned if Karen got away with this. The next day, I started digging. Karen's letter claimed the HOA had voted unanimously, but something felt off. I called Mrs. Delgado, the sweet retiree next door who'd been on the HOA board for years. "Unanimous?" she scoffed. "Mija, I wasn't even at that meeting." Karen said it was an emergency session. My blood ran cold. Karen had lied. I reached out to other board members, Mr. Patel, who ran the corner store, and young Liam, a single dad who just moved in. Neither had been notified. Karen had forged the vote. I could have stopped there, confronted her with the evidence, but I wanted to understand why. Why target Mom? Why the flag? I started watching Karen's house, noting her routines. She'd leave at 8 a.m. sharp, clipboard in hand, inspecting neighbors' yards like a drill sergeant. But one evening I saw something odd. A teenage girl, maybe 16, slipped out of Karen's back door, glancing around nervously before hurrying down the street. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. The girl was Mia, Karen's niece, who'd been staying with her for the summer. I remembered her from the community picnic, quiet, with a shy smile and a habit of sketching in a notebook. I hadn't thought much of her until I saw her again, this time at the library, where I'd gone to pull HOA records. Mia was tucked in a corner, drawing a rainbow flag that looked eerily like Mom's. When I approached, she flinched, slamming the notebook shut. "Mia, right?" I said gently. "I'm Sophie, Eleanor's daughter. You know, the lady with the flag." Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I thought she'd bolt. But then she whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't want to take it down." My heart stopped. "You took it?" I asked, keeping my voice low. She nodded, tears welling. "Aunt Karen made me. She said it was wrong, that it made the neighborhood look bad." Mia's story spilled out. Karen had been controlling her every move, preaching about family values and proper appearances. Mia was terrified of her aunt, who'd taken her in after her parents' messy divorce. But the real twist came when Mia admitted why she'd obeyed Karen. She was scared Karen would out her. Mia was queer, just like Jamie, and Karen had found her sketches drawings of girls holding hands, of pride flags. Karen used them to blackmail Mia into stealing Mom's flag. I was livid, but not at Mia. She was a kid, caught in a web of fear. I promised to keep her secret and told her to stay strong. Then I went to work. With Mrs. Delgado's help, I gathered statements from the HOA board, proving Karen's fraud. I also found out Karen had been filing complaints against other neighbors. Mr. Patel's Diwali lights, Liam's basketball hoopball under the guise of standards. She wasn't just targeting Mom. She was waging a one-woman war on anyone who didn't fit her narrow vision. The showdown came at the next HOA meeting. Karen sat at the head of the table, smug as ever, until I walked in with a folder of evidence. "You lied about the vote," I said, sliding the statements across the table. The room went silent. Mrs. Delgado chimed in, her voice sharp. "You didn't even call us, Karen," Liam added. "And you threatened to fine me for my kids' hoop. What's your problem?" Karen's face turned red, but she doubled down. "That flag was an eyesore. This neighborhood has standards." That's when Mia stood up, trembling but resolute. "You made me steal it," she said, her voice carrying a quiet power. "You said it was shameful. But you're the one who should be ashamed." The room erupted in gasps. Karen's jaw dropped, and for the first time she had no comeback. Mia's courage changed everything. It wasn't just about the flag Anna Marie, it was about a kid standing up to a bully, about a community seeing Karen for who she was. The HOA voted to reinstate Mom's flag and remove Karen as president. But the real consequences came later. Mom, who'd been quiet through it all, filed a harassment complaint with the city. Karen's actions forging documents, coercing Mia, and targeting neighbors added up to a pattern. The city fined her $3,000, a slap on the wrist compared to the damage she'd done. Karen's reputation was in tatters. Neighbors stopped waving, and her perfect lawn seemed to mock her isolation. I thought that was the end, that justice had been served. Mom's flag went back up, brighter than ever, and Jamie came home to see it, his smile lighting up the porch. Mia started visiting us, finding a safe space to be herself. But the bitterness lingered. One night, I found Mom sitting alone, staring at the flag. "I didn't want this," she said, her voice heavy. "I just wanted to love my son." That's when it hit me. The real cost wasn't Karen's fine or her fall from grace. It was the pain she'd caused. Mom's quiet grief, Mia's fear, the cracks in a community that had once felt like home. Karen's actions had exposed something ugly, not just in her but in all of us who'd let her control things for so long. I'd fought for Mom, for Jamie, for Mia, but the victory felt hollow. The flag was back, but the peace it stood for, that was harder to reclaim. Nd.